Hello and welcome to the New York Stock Exchange. My name is Nigel Lake and I'm delighted to welcome you to the celebration of the listing of New Day Impact Investing's new ETF, which will trade under the ticker ESGX, and the launch of Earth for All, an incredibly important new book and indeed movement. As we wait for events to start, I will just play a short introduction to Earth for All.
The Club of Rome is a group of scientists, humanists, educators.
It's irritating that humanity has not listened to us, but they haven't.
The warning bells were there already 50 years ago. The big difference is that now we truly are in the midst of the crises.
We are much closer to potentially catastrophic outcomes.
Now we have a short opportunity where everything is up in the air.
We thought it was the time to now reassess to see what does science tell us today and how does the future look like the next 50 years.
We have to change the story. We have to provide a plausible, coherent, consistent, and also science-based and numbers-backed story that people find more attractive than business as usual. We have one scenario called too little, too late. And then the other one is where we succeed in putting all those possibilities together.
We are proposing 5 turnarounds paid for by the 10% richest people in the world.
If we put in place the 5 turnarounds that we talk about, the focusing on inequality, the focus on poverty, the focus on empowerment, and then food and energy as the 2 key resources that will keep us alive as we're faced with some of these ongoing crises, then we actually could get ourselves out of this mess.
And the interesting thing with these 5 turnarounds is that they can be scaled from communities to cities to sectors, nations, regions, and then globally. So that's what we were looking for, like a fractal set of fractals that escalate or percolate down from the global economic system all the way down to specific communities.
We need to start with redressing, making sure that the solution is fair, is perceived as fair by a democratic majority. Unless we do so, we won't get a solution.
It's critical we talk about poverty because the poorest in societies are the most vulnerable and face the biggest risks, as we can see with the flooding in Pakistan, and we can see with the food crisis in sub-Saharan Africa. It's absolutely critical that we use this as an opportunity to spur sustainable economic development.
We need to start to address population growth. And in addressing population growth, we need to ensure that men also empower women, and that women then and girls can have access to education, that they can be part of the decision-making process and start to feel fulfilled in their lives in order to ensure that then population numbers will start to reduce.
In the food system, we would see a rapid change towards more logistics that reduce the unnecessary food waste and food loss so that we have food security.
I'm absolutely convinced that the Ukraine war will help us to accelerate the transition away from oil, coal, and natural gas.
So we could see an energy democracy where local sources, microgrids, local areas don't have to rely so much on the global fossil energy system.
What we're facing is not an environmental crisis. It's a crisis of security, of stability, of prosperity and equity. And that's what Earth for All really brings forward.
What this book is trying to do is give some direction to policymakers to say, if you actually implement these 5 key turnarounds with some of these very clear policy recommendations, we can start to see a difference.
I'm very optimistic that we are going to see a very, very rapid transformation. But the question is...
Please direct your attention to the 3 screens on the front of the room.
The world has never been so rich, but we're still susceptible to shocks and crises. Can we build more resilient societies? Not utopian, but functioning and fair. This is the story of Earth for All. We assembled a group of economic thinkers and scientists and developed a computer model to test their big ideas. We then asked, what's possible in 1 generation? If we carry on as normal, population and material footprints continue to grow, particularly due to overconsumption in rich countries. The gap between the richest and everyone else widens. Social tensions worsen. Climate change impacts become ever worse. But what if the world takes a giant leap now, with 5 extraordinary turnarounds? In this possible and plausible future, all people can live a good life within safer planetary boundaries. We avoid the worst climate impacts. Poverty ends earlier. Population peaks lower. Well-being rises. Social tensions fall. Nature starts to heal. Incredibly, the investment needed is only 2 to 4% of global income. But we do need massive investments now, driven by governments on a clear mission to enact the turnarounds. Another big idea is a citizens fund for each country, where companies pay to use our commons, the wealthiest contribute fairly, and the funds are distributed to all citizens equally. But rebooting economies won't happen on its own. We need a global movement, kicked off with worldwide citizens' assemblies. This is Earth for All. How the story ends is up to you. Join
Hello and welcome everyone. For those I have not yet met, my name is Tara Jejek. I head the listings team across U.S. sectors, and I want to extend a huge and warm welcome to New Day Impact Investing and really celebrate the launch of the Sustainable Development Equity ETF that just happened 10 days ago.
for being able to bring our ideas to the market. That's very important. And secondly, I want to thank all of our, I would call them value advocates that are with us here today, Generation Unlimited, and all of our partners, Earth for All, as well as the Cousteau Earth Echo that is run by Philippe Cousteau and his family, as well as the Jane Goodall Foundation, and other partners who are here, such as the George Riedel Foundation, too, and SIFMA. I want to say that what is most important today is that as we go to ring the closing bell, which is a part of the launch of SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Equity ETF, what we will be doing today is looking the market in the face and saying, here is why we are saving the Earth. We are saving it for the future. And the future is going to be on that podium with us. Take a look at everyone here who is under the age of 18. This is why we must save the Earth, and this is why we must save it now. This is what the book Earth for All tells us. It tells us that there is no more opportunity for tomorrow, that we are about to break every boundary of what will enable the Earth to survive. We are hoping to invest with companies that will enable us to meet the challenges that exist for all of us, and we are hoping to advocate with our partners, such as Generation Unlimited and all the others that I mentioned here today. Thank you all very much for coming, and I look forward to celebrating with you.
Represent free enterprise, and then button with trade, which represents a lot, not just our founding, but the future and growth that we see ahead. I will say New Day, it's a very hopeful name, and it does bring me joy and make me smile just to see your name up there. So for all of the guests here today, we have a smaller edition of Anne's medallion, and we do encourage you to pick one of these up as you go downstairs, slip it in your pocket, and use it as a reminder of the fun we're going to have on the floor today. And then right here.
Yes.
Okay.
Go
I'm going to present one more thing here to you. Your original listing certificate. So this puts you among nearly 2,000 NYSE listed ETFs representing 4.8 trillion in assets under management. It also says that you are a well-governed organization and you're part of the NYSE family, and you're welcome to come back and see us again and again.
Thank you so much.
I think we should probably head down to the trading floor pretty soon. So if we have a partner who just wants to speak for just a brief moment, that would be fine.
Thank you.
We will head down in 1 minute. Okay.
So thank you. Very much appreciate being here and being able to be with Anne and to be able to launch at this incredible moment where we shift the markets. 50 years ago, the Limits to Growth, a seminal report, actually reminded us that we couldn't just use the markets for growth. We needed to use the markets for another purpose, which was to service people, planet, and prosperity. So I appreciate the fact that we are here. And to point towards what we think is another way for the markets. There is a way to truly value our future. There is a way to use the power of the markets to drive rapid change, to drive new solutions, and that's what this ETF will do. We need growth within planetary boundaries. We need to move from winner takes all to Earth for all. This is what our new book, Earth for All, leads us on the path to do. It's a survival guide for humanity. Please join us in making sure that this ETF is a huge success and that many more come to the market to preserve this Earth for all. Thank you.
phones. You can take photos, no streaming videos, and no phone calls. If everyone with a blue stripe on your badge can meet me up in the front corner over there, we're going to head down first, and then everyone's going to come down to the trading floor, and we're going to have a great time.
I can come back here, right?